Hi there, this is Mama Loa, presenting Goddess of the Moon, Mother of all herbs, mystical mugwort. It is our pleasure to share this online event in hopes of assisting us in remembering the roots of oneness in our past and future health. Let's take 5 minutes to let go of the tensions of today's earlier events or future events possibles. After the guided meditation, we shall flow into the formal presentation. This is our chance to center our attention to the mystical aspects of nature in its quantum reflective form. Even if we are in a manufactured environment, we can remember from the multiverse of photos, stories, and recordings of all types within our mind's eye. Breathe in deep through the nose, pulling from the diaphragm just above the belly, and exhale in a relaxed manner, and perpetually repeat this. Relax and hear the birds and the wind rustling the tree branches and the plant leaves, and possibly the microphone. Breathe this fresh mountain air and see the expanse of diverse life in various colors and shape. Feel the softness of the soil underfoot. Breathe in with gratitude, thanksgiving, and appreciation that natural areas are here and we may share space with it in abundance. Inner flames of cellular recognition are rejoicing in these vibrational sensations. Our bodies are wired for a greater unity with nature. A springtime prayer seems to awaken within our beings, making offerings of gratitude to the most honorable eternal source creator, ancestors, and spirits that we are alive. Take time, especially in the morning, to stand outside and breathe deeply and remember that everything around us is full of life and energy. The ground, the plants, the animals, the stones, and give thanks to them all. Everything, everywhere, all at once. That is exactly how the universe works. Space and time are one singular construct, with the phenomenon of light, radio waves, etc., being deflected and passing obliquely through the interface between one medium and another, or through a medium of varying densities. Think of a crystal retracting light into a prism of various color waves. And in other words, space could be thought of as expansive thought. Time is the feet to travel to different experiences, and the energy of the various waves are the creators of animating life. This trinity flows through all matter at various intensities, depending on how tightly the bound is, such as, our nerves, our bones, our flesh, they all have those different densities. Moreover, this quantum space-time is a superposition of an infinite number of space-times, all happening at the same time. Therefore, the story of the goddess and the plant will also be flowing through all eternities. The choices we make are how we adjust our spiritual receptivity to the density of awakening to life's greatest mysteries. In this presentation, we seek to aid discovery that brings to fruition the most honorable energies of our being. Perception is so relevant to our experience and to all forms of lives too, as we interact with it. Being able to hop in this multiverse perspective is so super powerful a visualization. It's learning how these different energies affect these different forms. Today is a solar eclipse. Although it's better seen in the southern hemisphere, it's still a beacon to the mystical aspects of symbolizing a new day within the same. We also have a new moon signifying being at full release of the weight of the reflecting sun's various waves that alter the various densities. The fact that this is the second full moon in 1 month is a feat only seen once every 2 years. Named a black moon, it represents miraculous energetic cleansing. This grandmother moon now is clear for us to set intentions to grow till the next full moon. The fact that this new moon being the first after the spring equinox makes it the moon of the spring goddess, the nurturer of life, Artemis. This is a safe space to welcome your most honorable eternal source creator to invigorate the densities of your being, your earthly temple. Breathe deep this ever knowledgeable energy of life. As you breathe in with your senses, the body recognizes an ancient heritage that lived life outdoors. Our bodies have more foreign DNA than its own, including the mitochondria of every cell and our gut bacteria. Their history and cellular knowledge is deep and beyond what we know until we go into thorough meditations within our self. Breathe deep and observe, because the energies are being given. They offer opportunity to find pathways to the freedom to our innermost honorable desire. Take heed of this experience and listen for the message that we have either ignored or not really understood. Now, today is the time to trust what you feel inside. Trust as sure and easy as you breathe each inhale and exhale. Find the wonderful fruit it will offer, similar to our ancestors' intuition to survive and have our lineage be here. Our coping skills are a mirror of their ability to absorb the eternal source creator's energy and create our heritage. Heritage is something that affects us all. It was the unique heritage of our ancestors' experiences that changed the universal blood type into the A, O, B, and AB positive and negative combinations. Heritage is history, and history is often myth. Today, I combined heritage, history, and myth in the multiverse through the powers of the Greek goddess Artemis, a wild vegetable locally called mugwort, and human beings' relationship with her. Artemis vulgaris, mugwort, was known by early Europeans as the mother of herbs. We awaken our relation with Artemis in Greek mythology as the goddess of the moon, women's issues, youth, nature, wilderness, animals, the hunt, archery, and death. It is amazing that mugwort mirrors all these qualities in her story. Or is it that the goddess mirrors the mugwort? Artemis' parents were Zeus and Leto, her only sibling, Apollo. The problem was, Zeus was married to Hera, and anger flew as Hera learned the first of the philandering's husband's twins was born. Being the queen of gods on Olympus, Hera forbade Leto from giving birth on solid land. She even prevented the midwife from giving aid. Mother Leto was able to find a floating island by Zeus's compassion, and she gave birth to Apollo with the assistance of Artemis, possibly just days old. This validates Artemis as one of the women's issue goddesses and one of the 12 Olympians. Hera set parameters to limit Leto's procreation of Apollo, the sun god, after witnessing the miraculous Artemis surpassing her mother's auspiciousness at birth. Mugwort displays such tenacity. It's found on every continent except Antarctica, as we currently can tell. It is capable of growing in most soils and pH variations. A small, dried, one-seeded fruit that does not open to release seeds are created in the autumn called achenes. They are known to create 200,000 seeds per year in their native environments. The seeds are least of the reproductive power, sort of like the powerful goddess who chose eternal virginity with her womb kept bare. Miraculous powers the goddess displayed are found in the plant's roots. Just tapping into our most honorable thought patterns encourages capacities to endure and overcome in whatever parameter we are exposed to. The thick main root of mugwort is light brown, and it can measure up to 2 centimeters wide. There are many small fibrous roots that run off of it, and they form a vast underground network, up to 7 inches deep in the soil. If the root is taken out of the ground, but 1 centimeter of it remains in the soil, the plant will grow again. Mugwort shows such power, it is understandable how similar it is to Artemis' plight, both encountering another who would try to outlaw their existence. Today, it's illegal to sell or transport in many states. Even glyphosate is not as effective as smothering it under black plastic or cardboard. Artemisia vulgaris' aggressive growth is due to its camphor, eucalyptus, and A-pinine as allelopathic compounds exuded from its roots. These compounds act as herbicides, concentrating in the soil within and bordering mugwort, thus reducing or completely inhibiting other plants from growing. Just as our goddess has the ability to protect her virginity and always keeps her presence known in a royal way, Artemis would turn transgressors into mostly deer for others to prey on them, such in the story of Actaeon being eaten by his hunting dogs. Mugwort weakens other plants so they're consumed by other parts of nature. Often, thought processes are similar to these roots, as main thoughts inject into our perception of the surroundings, and interactions drawing near, or in this case, pushing them away. Artemis is said to be at the peak during the first new moon after the spring equinox. She often wears a crown representing the crescent moon, which is part of the first moon phase 6 days from now. Also known as a sickle moon, it symbolizes fertility and is related to death, life, and visions. We invite the honorable knowledge of Artemis, a feminine version of the eternal source creator, an energy force known by many names throughout history as a nurturer of all lives, to come and join us. Goddess, help empower us in our innermost blessed aspects to dream and act in creating the most idyllic moment of now, in the many refractive qualities of relationships, perspectives, health, youth, and respecting nature perpetually. Artemis, we ask that your growing radiance breathes enlightenment into our mind, uniting our inner God oneness. Assist us in clearly receiving the message of our unity within our mind's eye through the heritage, history, and myth of our cellular relation to plants, and particularly to celebrate mugwort on this day. As we are but a cell in nature's totality of being, may we encounter our own lives with such auspiciousness. As this truth becomes easier to envision, may we see a world so beautiful, all on the planet radiate as benevolent goddesses and gods in a grand state of perfection, everywhere, all the time. Humans are but a breath in the archaeological lineages of plant lines such as Artemisia vulgaris. Mugwort had become associated with mythologies of holy beings, named, rebranded, and marketed using other and successive kingdoms, uniting other and successive kingdoms, as easily as one is inhaled and exhales of space and time. During Pliny's day, Artemis was referred to as Alethea. In Roman tradition, she was known as Diana the Huntress, who helps us capture the spiritual food we need. And for thousands of years, she was called into women's sacred rituals to help dream, divine, and see. Mugwort finds its moon reference visually in the leaves. If you flip the deep green leaves over, on the underside, the silver hairs shimmer like the moon's glow. Having tea or drinking or deep breathing this dried plant leaves through a dream pillow or various options of incense, smudge, or smoke before sleeping is used in visionary work to improve psychic abilities, to enhance dreams and visions to lucid levels, controlling outcomes and giving us the dreamy power of gods. Quote, referred to in Russian as zebkaitko, which means forgetful, Mugwort's strong camphor-like oils, when inhaled, open up chambers of ancient memory within the brain, bringing one's dream life, stirring visions of past and future that overflow with magical imagery. The symbols which dance through our mugwort-touched dreams pull out the cobwebs of our forgetfulness and assist us in remembering old, unwritten ways of healing and living that attend to the needs of the spirit and the soul. By Judith Berger in Earth Rituals, unquote. The Chamush Indian name for this plant is malush, and the Paiute name is translated as dream plant, a name that has been gaining in popularity. Mugwort is used by many to improve people's dreams, making it more likely for them to remember them and interact with them for spiritual purposes. Mugwort can be made into very effective wash to smudge magical divination tools such as crystal balls, pendulums, and scrying mirrors. The smoke can be used to empower oracle and tarot decks. All these items are of densities that photons, radio waves, etc. influence, validating they carry an energy force. In some regions in Japan, there's an ancient custom of hanging mugwort and iris leaves together outside homes in order to keep evil spirits away. It is said that evil spirits dislike their smell. John the Baptist was believed to have worn mugwort on his person as he ventured into the wilderness. On the Isle of Man, mugwort is known as Bollanbane and is still worn on the lapel at the Tynwald Day celebrations. This year it's July 5th. It has strong association with St. John. In Holland and Germany, one of its names is St. John's plant, because the belief that if gathered on St. John's Eve, August 23rd this year, it gives protection against diseases and misfortune. A crown made from its sprays was worn on St. John's Eve to gain security from evil possession. Because of this, Christians in Europe often gave mugwort to travelers before setting off on a journey. And on St. John's Day, August 24th, they celebrate its abundance by burning it. Zhu Wuning is a major character of the 16th century novel Journey to the West. Also known as Zubaji, a reincarnation of the Marshal of the Heavenly Reeds, he was actually venerated as a deity. His very name suggests that God can be traced to early shamanistic beliefs about magico-religious medicine. For a better translation of Heavenly Reeds is Heaven's Mugwort. Van Glan in 2004 explains this curious name suggests the ancient belief that mugwort alludes to the plant's demonofugic properties. This suggests the ancient belief that mugwort exorcised demons, illnesses, and was eventually anthropomorphized and deified as the general. Known as a blood cleanser, Artemisia vulgaris is believed to have different medical properties depending on the region it is collected in. In some regions where it's native, mugwort thins the blood, while in another location, it's claimed to have hallucinogenic properties, causing a few to pass out from direct skin contact with the active chemicals. For this reason, some Koreans wear a silk sleeve when picking mugwort. In Americas, it's much more benign. A goddess of women's issues, mugwort has ability to assist in regulating menstrual cycles, relieving cramps, and increasing blood flow. It's possible through a chemical called artemisinin, found in the root, stem, leaves, and blossoms of the mugwort plant. When taken orally, artemisinin is said to cause gentle contractions of the uterus, promoting regular periods. Once pregnant, the plant is not recommended without professional guidance. In traditional Chinese medicine, it's sometimes used to induce labor, but it's also been known to use for abortions. When menopause comes, this again is the plant to turn to. Mugwort therapy is safer for menopausal women than hormone replacement therapy. Artemisia vulgaris was formally named by Carl Linnaeus, the father of modern taxonomy. He found the plant, commonly known as mugwort, to behold such auspicious qualities, its title memorializes the goddess Artemis forevermore. The plant was known by the healing properties described in medical works as early as the 1st century AD by Dioscorides in Materia Medica, in 70 AD by Pliny the Elder in Naturalis Historia, and in 200 AD by Galen in De Simplicum Medicoritum Facultibus. The phytoconstituents and pharmacological activities were tested on the entire genus. Terpenoids, flavonoids, coumarins, caffeoquinic acids, and sterols constitute major classes found. All species are rich in terpenoids, but Artemisia vulgaris is the top 5 of these, possessing the greatest percentage. These metabolites display a great broad range of physiological properties, including antibiotic, anti-tumor, antiviral, cystotoxic, immunosuppressive, phytotoxic, antifungal, insect, antioxidant, and hormonal activities. As Artemis was protector of youth, having 60 9-year-olds to be her choir and 20 other handmaidens, we also find mugwort eases colic through stopping stomach problems and excessive crying in infants. Through life, this mystical herb returns our bodies to a more natural, healthy vibrations. Mugwort perpetually aids our life by easing or nullifying nausea and stomach problems associated with diarrhea, cramps, constipation, slow digestion, and vomiting. Science proves its micronutrients decrease ADHD, anxiety, depression, hypochondria, insomnia, low energy, and sleepwalking. It decreases inflammation, spasms, seizure disorders, and epilepsy. And if that wasn't enough, it aids in eradicating warts and parasitic worms. Indigenous people of North America used mugwort for a number of medicinal purposes. Strong, bitter-tasting tea was taken to treat colds and fevers. Mugwort was used in washes and salves to treat bruises, itching, sores, poison ivy, eczema, and underarm or foot odor. The leaves were dried, crushed, and used as snuff to relieve congestion, nosebleeds, and headaches. Frequently, to improve the taste and absorption, mugwort tea is made by crushing the leaves and steeping with other ingredients. Boiled with tarragon, it is used to treat the swollen feet and legs and snow blindness. Some tribes call Western mugwort women's sage because of the ability to assist correcting menstrual irregularities. It was taken to relieve indigestion, coughs, and chest infections. Western mugwort smoke was used to disinfect contaminated areas and revive patients from coma. The species is reported as well known in the traditional medicine of South America and often used against fever, malaria, and gastric disorders. In European folk medicine, after oral consumption, this mother of herbs stimulates the secretion of gastric juices. Hence, it is used against gastrointestinal mucus, insufficient production of bile and digestive juices, flatulence, and poor appetite. Essentially, this is the better choice than Alka-Seltzer or that ilk of drugs. Traditional Hindu medicine, called Unani, uses many preparations based on Artemisia vulgaris. For instance, archery is a preparation recommended for liver inflammation and obstruction. Dava oluk is used in treating enlarged liver or spleen and kidney stones. The medication Kurzegol is a liver tonic in chronic fever. The plant helps our stomachs because it's a relaxant for the gastrointestinal tract and bile ducts. Laxative effects have also been utilized in treatment for obesity. Mugwort is also used in teas and infusions for external use for alleviating rheumatism and leg pains, as well as for sitz baths for hemorrhoids and yoni steams. Furthermore, its power is so valued for sustaining youthful health that Artemisia vulgaris extracts are found in cosmetic products that are available on the European, Asian, and American markets. In Russia, Pervo Rishonei Etude House and Natura Sibirica and Phytocosmetic use it in the production of toothpastes, balms, and creams. South Korean companies such as Hanyal, Misha, Isntree, I'm From, Round Lab, Veli Veli, Dr. Jart, and Tony Moly produce cosmetics which are intended for skincare, mainly in the form of creams, using the extracts of Artemisia vulgaris. These plant extracts are also found in products sold by American cosmetic companies Soleil Toujours, AO Skincare, and True Baby. In traditional Chinese medicine, mugwort is used in a pulverized and aged form called moxa, from the Japanese word magusa. It's often used in conjunction with acupuncture. This goddess even aids the health of other species, lives in nurturing animals and enhancing the aroma of their feed. This vegetable of the wilderness has numerous sesquiterpene hydrocarbons, alcohols, and derived metabolites found in the plant. These essential oils are so highly valued for their desirable odor and flavor characteristics. In the Western world, mugwort cousin absinthium is the popular drink absinthe. Did you know that bitters are an excellent way to remove the desire of eating sugars and carbohydrates? Mugwort is a proper bitter and has been shown to help in digesting fats and supporting the liver and gallbladder. Mugwort is its common name. Separating the compound word is mug and wort. Wort is defined as a name used in plants and herbs, especially those used for food or medicine. Example, butterwort or woundwort. Wort also refers to the sweet infusion of ground malt or other grains before fermentation, and that is used to produce beer and distilled malt liquors. It's the mugwort because it was the most used beer flavoring before the introduction of hops. There are several references to the Chinese using mugwort in cuisine. The famous poet Su Shi in the 11th century mentioned it in one of his poems, and there are even older poems that go back to track back to 3 BC. It's a common ingredient in rice cakes, teas, soups, and pancakes. Often called luhao or acai in Mandarin, mugwort can be prepared as a cold dish or stir-fried. The Hakka Taiwanese also use it to make a doughy sweet dumplings. It's also used as a flavoring and colorant for seasonal rice dishes. In Germany, it's known as Beifuß, and it's mainly used to spice the roast goose traditionally eaten for Christmas. The Japanese call this plant yomogi and use it in a number of their dishes, including yokan, a dessert, or kusamochi, also known as yogi mochi, or yomogi. Yomogi is a vital ingredient for the delicacies served in the Doll Festival in March. It's got sweets wrapped in the center of it, and it literally translates as great luck. In North and South Korea, mugwort is called suk. It's used in soups and salads. A traditional soup containing mugwort and clams is called duk soup, made in spring from the young plants just before they bloom, about now. Dukguk is traditionally eaten with family to celebrate the Lunar New Year's Day, which was February 1st this year. Another dish is named sukboemel, in which mugwort is mixed with rice flour, sugar, salt, and water, and then steamed. As a protector of nature, mugwort is also an insecticide to protect the multitude of grains. Most noted for protecting cereal crops from weevils, borers, and beetles, it also deters moths in their larval stages. While the European Food and Safety Authority finds that as an insecticide, it is intended for use in vast fields and for protecting plants in orchards and vineyards and growing vegetables. They found it also targets insects such as the Egyptian mosquito, the housefly, and the red flower beetle. There is increasing use of this plant for this purpose because it's less harmful to both humans and the environment compared to other preparations. As Artemis was the ultimate huntress, she provides great invigoration for the hunt. The Celtics would wrap it on their arms for added vigor. Worn in the shoes of Roman soldiers to decrease fatigue in their grueling marches, their faster step or full pace was required to complete 22 modern miles in 5 hours, loaded with 45 pounds. Some marches were even up to 30 miles, and they had to construct their basic defenses for their overnight position. As the goddess was a known hunter with an arrow, we again see it reflected in the plant. The white hairs on the underside of the leaves are dried into cone shapes and then lit aflame. Like arrows, the moxibustion cones are able to pierce through the stubborn areas by being burnt on the skin for targeted results. The leaves are arranged pinnately along the stem as they travel up the branch. The branch, with its royal heritage, it starts out and gets this beautiful brownish purple color with age. It can reach stands up to 6 feet and turns very woody. All these little things around me are last year's stalks. The whole plant has a feathered looking appearance, with each stem pinnately arranged. The narrow lobed segments branching out. The leaves are dark green on the top and then downy silver hairs on the underside. The leaves may be as long as 4 inches when they mature and are deeply divided with the numerous lance-shaped pointed segments. When they may be toothed or entire. Mugwort can usually be easily identified throughout the summer by its woolly spikes of subtle dark brown or dark yellow or deep red flowers. They're embedded in small baskets that form heavily branched panicles with numerous lanceolate bracts at the top of the shoots. One basket may contain about 15 to 30 flowers with numerous stamens. Let me grab one. This is what that looks like when it is mature. As the goddess was to be respected, with violators often given penalty of transformation into a more benign being or death, Mugwort also has the ability to subdue. Mugwort is in the Astraceae family that includes chrysanthemum and ragweed and daisy, not dandelion. A. vulgaris might cause an allergic reaction in these people, or those who are allergic to what is known as the celery carrot mugwort spice syndrome. There's also some concern that people may be sensitive to mugwort if they've got allergies to white mustard, honey, royal jelly, hazelnut, olive, latex, peach, kiwi, the Micronesian nut called nangai, and other plants from the genus of Artemisia, including sage. It could cause death by anaphylactic shock if you're allergic to the most extreme of any of these. Artemisia vulgaris can be deadly and remorseless to those who are contrary to her purity, and with equal energy she protects the young and mothers of all. The deities Aletheia and Artemis eventually became one. When they were separate goddesses, Artemis was the more honored. St. Paul encountered Artemis worshippers in Ephesus and spoke to the intensity of their devotion in Acts 19:23-40. In assembly for 2 hours, the Ephesians chanted, "Great is Artemis of the Ephesians, she whom all Asia and the world worship." Now is the perfect time to inhale and exhale acknowledgement to nature as our original mother by the mirror of her minerals and waters within our chemical diagram. Think about this. We are liquid crystals of animated earth. Food, shelter, clothing, medicine, and crafting material all exist in different configurations of these water and minerals and are all affected by the photons in various ways. Do you see it as our choice to release the physical, emotional, and psychological densities of frustration by routing our thoughts and actions into honorable energies? We have the capacity to live with the purity of a spirit able to severely defend and protect our ability to nurture with knowledge, protecting the lives of all beings, along with feeding and nurturing, healing so many, because life is but a mirror of the perceptions of the powers of energies. Before marriage, women gave reverence to Artemis by gifting her clothes. In turn, Artemis protected pregnancies. After giving birth, women dedicated their prenatal clothing to the goddess. The temple functioned as an ancient equivalent of Goodwill Industries. When we recognize the importance of nurturing nature, nature will mirror that compassion back to us. Each bite of anything is pure energy that goes through the various distortions of matter. With the changes in this world today, so many blessed plants offer us a health so much more nutritious than the items found in the grocery store, and Mugwort asks so little but offers so much. When we are first to consume the plant or anything, give thanks to your eternal source creator for all lives and abundant opportunity. Then thank the meal for its heritage and permanence in the future to be. They are in service that we may achieve through their energy densities to be our nourishment. Be grateful. There is a process to integrate nature's wild vegetables into our diet. As babies are given time to adapt to new foods, so should we. Familiarize through the scent and the touch. If that's pleasing to your senses, go ahead and take a nibble and have some tea and wait a day. If our system feels good, we can integrate it in a more regular way, often starting with larger quantities cooked. Thank you for attending this event. I hope this presentation, inspired by the goddess of renewal and remembering cycles and relations, has awakened your perception to deeper values of life. May our feet choose to walk in the path of healthy soils, Our hands service to inner wholeness and recognizing the wholeness in others. May our minds perceive the most honorable thoughts through recognizing the importance of mirroring energy in different forms. The hope is we are all finding the innate mystic we carry within our beings. We are the future's heritage. What is the myth that will come from our collective histories? I look forward to being in the future and finding out what we create. Namaste.